Hi, I'm Dave from Hardy Scale Models, and this is the third part of my video build of the Trumpeter 1/72 scale Fairey Gannet. And in this episode, we're going to just go through the painting stages of the model, from priming, pre-shading, paint, and post-shading. So here I'm just covering up the wheelbase with some foam for when I start priming the model. I've already painted those when I was putting the model together, so I don't want to have to redo those. The product that I'm going to use for this is Ultimate Modelling Products Grey Primer. It's straight out of the bottle in the airbrush, 30 to 35 psi. If you go lower psi, you will probably get blockages because it does need to be a higher pressure. But as you can see here, it goes on really smoothly. So starting with a very thin coat, and then I go over the model again just to give it a proper coat. So the whole model will probably get 2 complete coats of primer, and also get that onto the mask canopy so that the underside of the canopy looks as though it's been painted as well. And again, just doing the underside here, just taking your time, just make sure it's nice and level, make sure it's not running. And once we're finished, you can sort of check it out. And it's also a good point now to check your filling to make sure no more of the seams are still visible. So give the model a quick once over, make sure your seams are all filled in, and we're ready to start thinking about painting the model. So here I'm just getting the canopies masked up, and the way I do it is a standard technique that everyone uses. Cover it with a bit of masking tape, and then I'm using a cocktail stick just to mark around the edges of the frame, and then use a fresh blade on your knife to trim out the excess masking tape. So you should just leave the actual panes masked, which are getting ready for spraying. Admittedly, I hate masking canopies. It's the job that I enjoy the least when I'm building any models, and I'm really not an expert at it, but I do my best. So this is the effect that we're going for. And then I'm using crystal clear, micro crystal clear, which is basically just a PVA glue, to stick the canopies down. And the reason we use PVA glue, obviously, like everyone knows, is that if you use anything harsher, you can get misting or clouding on the inside of the canopy, which is the last thing you want. And once these are all stuck into place and masked, then we can get the model ready for some pre-shading. Now, I actually forgot to press record on my camera when I was doing the pre-shading, so this is the finished effect, one I did earlier. So it's just black, Tamiya flat black paint, 8 to 10 psi with 70% thinner, so you can get really close up and just trace out the panel lines that you want to sort of emphasize under the paint scheme. Like I say, I forgot to press record, so I do apologize for that. And the paint that I'm using here is, for the main colour, is the Hitaka paint set for the Royal Navy. I do have a full review of that kit on my page if you want to check it out. So with this, it's 15 to 20 psi, approximately 60% thinner, using a 0.3mm needle, and just going over the model, starting with a very light coat, and then you just build it up until you can. Well, it's all personal choice, but as you can see there, you can see the pre-shading, and I'm just covering it up to an extent that I want it to. It's total personal choice. No 2 aircraft were the same. You don't have to have it very visible. You don't have to totally cover it up. It's entirely up to you. So just go with what's pleasing to your eye. And here I've now masked up the rest of the model so that I can put on the darker upper colour, which is the extra dark sea grey. Took quite a bit of masking tape, as you can see, and this is the paint from the Hitaka set, and we started getting this down. So again, it's personal choice. You can go over as thick or as thin as you like. The depth of the pre-shading effect is totally up to you. I prefer to be a little bit subtle, but then I haven't really been pre-shading for that long, so I just sort of go with it. And this is the final sort of stage here now, where it's all painted up. And now for the post shading, which is basically the same paint but with 1 to 2 drops of white added, and it's just to give a little bit of sort of subtle difference on the airframe. The aircraft wouldn't have a solid colour, it would look bleached in parts, it would look different in parts. So it's just masking off panels and picking out areas that you want to sort of highlight. Do it for both sides, the dark and the light colour scheme, and this is the effect that I was going for. So you can see there that there's panels that are a different shade, and they just stand out differently. And then the final stage is getting down a clear coat, and for this I'm using Alclad 2 Aqua Gloss, again water based, and just getting down 2 or 3 coats of gloss cover so I can then look at putting the decals on. So this is where we are now. It's all glossed up, ready for the decals, which will be in the next part, and the weathering. So thanks for visiting again, and hopefully we'll have the next video up soon. Thanks very much. Bye now.